Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Crystal Goldsby, and I work with an amazing company called Paint with Faith. We are a motivational mobile pacing company traveling all the way from Palm Beach to Miami, encouraging individuals and motivating them through artwork. Here at Paint with Faith, we believe that you all can do all things in life with just three key components. And that's just a little bit of guidance, a little bit of motivation, and a little bit of faith in yourself. All right? So I want to make sure before we get started that we believe that we can do this. So I need everyone to repeat after me. So if I believe, I can achieve. Perfect. Now, I'm going to need everyone to hold their hands up for me for 1 second. And we're just going to get a quick snap. Quick snap. Now, if any sound doesn't come out, that's okay. We're just going to snap, snap, snap out that negativity, because here at Paint with Faith, there are no mistakes in art. It may be room to grow and opportunities to learn, but there are no mistakes in art. So if you feel any point in this process, it starts to get a little overwhelming, go ahead and snap, snap, snap out that negativity. And if you guys are all started, we're going to jump right into the canvas. Alrighty guys, so for today's painting, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to start with our big brush. Go ahead and grab your big brush. Now with that big brush, we're going to start with the color blue. And with that color blue, we're going to make 2 points here on our canvas, maybe about a little higher than the halfway point. So find your halfway point and just go up maybe about 1 inch higher than that. And now with the color blue, we're going to fill in everything from the top of our canvas down to those 2 points. And if you notice, I'm taking that brush side to side, side to side, side to side. It just gives it a nice even finish when it dries. Take that brush side to side. And we're going to fill in that entire top half of space. Now once we get close to the bottom, we kind of want to just fan it out. We want to fan it out, fan it out. And what I mean by fanning it out is, you notice how you can't kind of really decipher a straight line at the bottom? We're just kind of lightly brushing that brush across that line where your blue ends. And we're just fanning it out, fanning it out. Now right along the bottom, we're gonna take the color white. And from the color white, we're gonna paint right up against the bottom of that blue. Again, not cleaning that brush out. You wanna dip that brush right inside the white, and we wanna mix it right inside with the blue. Come right against the bottom. And as you notice, you'll see that kind of start blending together. The technique that we did in our previous video. And that's just making the two colors kind of evenly fade between each other. And we're gonna kind of bring that down. You can go as far down with the lighter blue as you like, using the white and blue mixture. We're gonna come to about here with that lighter blue. Okay? And the same thing as you get towards the bottom, we don't want to kind of decipher where it ends. Kind of just let the brush flow. Let it kind of end on its own. The brush will do that work for you. Now we're not gonna, again, clean our brushes just yet. We're gonna take the color black, the tiniest, tiny amount of the color black that you can get onto your brush. And we're gonna cover this top part here with that black. Now once you get that on your canvas, maybe about the top half of your blue, we're gonna then get a little bit more blue onto our brush without cleaning that black out, and we're gonna paint directly on top of that area where we put our black. So you get like a darker version of that blue come into effect, right? Want to make sure we hit our edges. And we just want that darker version of that blue at the top of our canvas there. Something like that. Let that blue kind of fade in with the lighter blue. Kind of use those streaks. And side to side with the brush. So now we have about 3 different shades of that blue, right? So we have this darker blue at the top, fading into a lighter blue, fading into a sky blue, right? A very faint blue. So once you have your 3 layers of your blue, we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna just add a little more of the regular blue here. Just to fade that in. Perfect. Now once you have your 3 levels of your blue, we're gonna go ahead and clean out our big brushes. Now once we cleaned out our big brush, the next color we're gonna select is gonna be the color green. Now with the color green, we're gonna make a triangular shape, but we're not gonna straight paint it in. We're gonna just kind of tap our way through. So first, we're gonna make the base of our shape. And again, we're just tapping. We're tapping along to get the shape of that triangle. I'm gonna make this nice and tall. Nice and tall, you want to make this. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger here. And that's the fun part about paint. You're kind of in control with that brush and that paint. And no one will know you messed up or have something there that isn't supposed to be unless you tell them. You're the boss of your canvas. All right? Now inside of our triangular shape, we're gonna continue on that motion of tapping. As I'm tapping inside, I'm kind of twisting my brush around, kind of holding it at an angle. And I'm just tapping, tapping, tapping inside that space where our green is in our triangular shape. And if you notice, I'm not fully covering all of the white space. I'm kind of leaving a little bit of white space in between. For now, we're just tap, tap, tapping inside. You kind of hold it at an angle. Twist that brush around, give it a different pattern. And you'll see why we're doing this later. I'm just gonna tap, tap, tap along. Now for the outside, the outer edges here along our shape, we're kind of gonna hold our brush at an angle, and we're gonna give it a little bit of an extension. Kind of hold it out a bit, and we're just tapping out to the side, kind of extending that side, giving it the effect of that tree, kind of holding that brush out to the side flat, and with same tapping motion, we're just extending it out. As you get to the bottom, you want to bring it out a little bit more. I'm going to do that same thing to the opposite side. So we're going to come along here and we're going to just extend it out a bit. And get to the bottom. Don't worry if you run off your canvas, kind of like I did here. As long as we have that extension out going, you're all fine. Now it kind of really just solidifies the shape of our tree, right? I'm gonna go a few of these spots and fill in a few of those a little more. And I think we're all set. Now once you've gotten all of your green all filled in, you've got your edges on, we're gonna go ahead and clean out our big brushes. Now once we've cleaned those big brushes out, we're gonna mix 3 colors together. The first color we're gonna take, we're gonna separate a little bit of the color yellow. So go ahead and take some of that yellow off to the side or somewhere in the middle of your palette. Now once you've separated that yellow, the next color we're gonna select is the color red. And we're gonna mix those two together until you get one solid tone of the color orange. Now it doesn't matter the lightness or the darkness of the color orange, as long as it's in the family of an orange, you're fine. And I like to mix again so there's one solid color. So I mix all that yellow in, mix all that red in, and you just see one uniform color. And the last color we're gonna add to that mixture is gonna be the color green. I'm gonna mix those 3 together. Now once you add that green, you'll start to notice that orange is gonna change more into the family of brown, right? And that's the tone we're going for. We're going for the color brown. So once you're satisfied with your brown, what we're gonna do with that color is we're gonna make a stump here for our tree. We're gonna make a trunk. So we're gonna make 2 vertical lines here at the bottom. And we're gonna fill that all in with the brown. All the way to the bottom of our canvas. And once we have our brown filled in, we're gonna go ahead and clean out that big brush once again. Now once your big brush is all clean, we're gonna do some decorating here to our tree, all right? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna give it a few ornaments. So the first color we're gonna start with is gonna be the color red. So go ahead and take the color red using your small brush. And we're gonna make a few circles with that red. And I'm kind of just placing them randomly in different areas. So just a few circles of red to give our tree some ornaments, right? You can add as many of these as you like. I'm just gonna add a few. Kind of look like an apple tree right now, right? I'm gonna add maybe about 2 more here at the top. Don't worry if that red mixes with that green. We can always go over the red later. Make it a little more of a brighter tone. Let's see, that's the last. Alright. So once we have a few of our red ornaments onto our tree, we're going to clean out our small brush. Now the next color we're going to get for our tree, we're going to mix a little bit of the colors white and the colors blue together. So find a new spot on your palette, and we're just going to make a lighter version of the blue that we see on our palette. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add a few of the blue ornaments. Just picking a few spots here. Add that blue. And again, like with the red, you can add as many of the blue ornaments as you like. I think we're pretty good on that. Now once you're all done with your blue ornaments, we're gonna go ahead and clean out our small brush. Now once your small brush is clean, I don't really have a point. It's kind of slanted here on my small brush, so I'm gonna use the big brush. But we're gonna use the back of our brush. So go ahead and take that brush, the big or the small, as long as you have a rounded point on the end. And we're gonna use the back end of our brush. So go ahead and flip that around. And then we're gonna select the color yellow. Now with that color yellow, we're gonna make a few polka dots. We're gonna tap, tap, tap along. We're not gonna go in straight lines. We're kind of gonna go at an angle. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, or 4, right up there. We're gonna skip a little space. And we're gonna continue that same motion. We're gonna go all the way down our tree. And this is gonna give the effect that we have lights, right? Adding a few lights on our tree. Again, you don't want to go in a straight line. You want to kind of go at an angle. Kind of like they're wrapped around the tree. And again, we want to continue that all the way to the bottom of our tree there. Maybe about 1 or 2 more rows here I can fit. If you can fit more, that's fine. We don't have to have the exact amount. And just because our trees may be a little bit different in size, so that's okay. If you have to make a little bit more lights, that's fine. I'm gonna make 1 more here along the bottom. We're looking good. Now go ahead and take the back end of that brush once you're all done. We're just gonna wipe that off on our towel. Now we're gonna go ahead, once you're done with all of your lights, we're gonna grab our small brush. You're gonna go back with the small brush. And with that small brush, we're gonna go with the color yellow. Now with the color yellow, we're gonna make a star. So we're gonna make a letter T into a letter X. So a letter T and a letter X. I'm gonna give our tree a star. Alright, I'm gonna fan that out. And I'm just kind of brushing it out as if our star is glowing, right? Kind of give it the effect. Now, if you kind of lost the shape of your T, your star, that's okay. As long as you kind of have that glow effect in there. So we're going to do next with the color white, we're going to make a tiny dot right in the middle. After you make that dot, we're just going to lightly tap to spread that white with our yellow. And that's just going to give the effect that it's kind of glowing. Our star is glowing, right? So once you're all satisfied with that, we're gonna go ahead and clean our brushes once again. The next color we're gonna take is gonna be the color white, using our big brush. And with that color white, we're gonna make a nice big circle. Right? Nice and big. I'm gonna make it even bigger. Yeah, there we go. Now inside of our circle, once you're satisfied with your size, we're gonna fill that in all with the color white. I'm gonna fill that circle into its entirety with the color white. And if you notice that white is kind of mixing with that blue, that's perfectly fine. We're actually going to use that. Let that blue kind of mix and fade into your white. Now the next color we're going to add to this mix is going to be a tiny, tiny, tiny drop of the color black. So I'm only going to use the corner end of my brush to cover that. To get a tiny bit of black. And with that black, I'm going to tap a few spaces around my circle. And then the spaces that I tap, I'm going to just come back and tap, tap, tap it in until it kind of fades around in with the white. So I'm just spreading it out. And don't worry if it looks a little funny right now. You kind of got to trust the process when you're painting. So wherever you put your points of black, we're just going to tap, tap, taking our brushes and spreading that black out along with our white. Now once you get a few of those darker spaces, we're going to take the color white again by itself. And right along those areas, we're kind of going to do the same thing. We're going to add more white and we're going to tap. You want that to have a little bit of that texture because as you see, it fills in and you see a nice moon come into effect, right? So you want it to have that texture in there, like craters in there, right? So we want that those darker spots to show. We want that black to mix with that white. So this is gonna give our moon a little more definition, make it look more like it's coming to life, jumping off that canvas. And we're just tapping, adding more white, going right over those spaces where we added the black. Now you see kind of a grayish tone come into effect, and that's exactly what we're looking for. We want that gray. I'm gonna add a little bit more white. You can add that white until you're satisfied with the outcome. Again, this is gonna be hanging up at home with you, so I want you to make something that's appealing to your eyes, right? I'm gonna make a few spaces a little bigger with the white just to make it a little more visible. Now we have a pretty cool moon coming to effect, right? So once your moon is all set, we're gonna go ahead and clean out those big brushes once again. And once our big brushes are all clean, the next color we're gonna take is the color black. Let's go ahead with our small brush and the color black. Again, using our small brush for this. We're gonna kind of repeat the process we did here for our tree. This time we're gonna focus in our background. And because they're so far back, we're gonna make these a bit smaller, right? To give it that perspective. So I'm gonna go right along my blue here. And I'm gonna make a smaller triangle with the black. I'm gonna make about 2 or 3 of those. I think I'm gonna keep it at 2. 2 looks pretty good. And the same thing we did with the green, we're gonna do with the black. So we're gonna tap, tap, tap along the inside. And then again, we're gonna fan out our bottom. We're gonna do to one side, we're gonna do to the other. We're going to do the same thing to both of our trees. And the reason we're using black is because, again, they're far back. So we wanted to make it like there's a kind of like a silhouette of the tree because of the shadow from the moon, right? So that's the reason why we're not making these in the color green. We want them to give the effect that they're off in the distance. Same thing to both sides, just fanning it out a bit at the bottom. Once you're all done, we're not going to clean out our brushes just yet. Right along the areas where we made our lights, we're going to make strings for our lights now, right? So we're going to come right in between, and we're just going to connect our lights with the line. And we're using the color black, and right in between our lights, we just want to give it a short line to connect it, give it a string. Do that to each space where our lights are kind of right along. And so they all have a connecting line of black. And once you're all done with your black, we're going to go ahead and clean out our small brushes again. And again, you want to make sure we dry those brushes off once they're clean. Before our next step, I'm just going to go over that red. Remember earlier I was saying we can go over that red and make it a little more brighter. I'm going to go over those spaces of red again, just to make it pop. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and clean those brushes out. If you have to touch up your red like I did. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to use the color white to add a little bit of a reflection to our ornaments. Alright? So since I just touched up my red, I'm going to start with my blue. We're just going to give it a little bit of a little line of white, kind of give it like a reflection. And I'm kind of going in the shape of the circle, maybe along one half, maybe one side, I'm sorry. I'm going to focus on one side of each of my circles, and I'm going to add a little bit of white just to make it pop. And again, we're going to do the same thing to our red. And we're just making our ornaments kind of jump off that canvas. Now once you're all done with your white, remember earlier we did our star, so we made the glow for our star. So we're gonna put our star back using the color yellow. Again, we're gonna repeat that process. We're gonna make that T with the letter X. We're gonna put our star back, top of our tree. Now for the very last touch for this canvas, I'm going to use, again, the back end of our brush. So I'm going to use my big brush because it's more rounded. And with that, I'm going to get the color white. And we're going to add a few snowdrops. So we're just going to make a few points along our canvas here. Some bigger, maybe some smaller in size. All snowdrops, they aren't the same, all the flakes. So I want to give them a little difference in size. I'm going to just add a few. In the area. And again, you can add those snowdrops until you're satisfied with your canvas. I'm gonna add a few here on the sides. I'm gonna put a few right on top of our tree, kind of like it's falling over those trees in the back. Now once you're all done with your snowdrops, the final portion of this painting, and probably the most important, we're gonna sign our $1 million signatures on there somewhere, right? So using the color black, I'm gonna sign in the bottom right corner my initials. And again, it has been a pleasure painting with you all. Again, my name is Crystal. And don't forget, guys, your life is a canvas. So paint it with faith. Until next time.